and it's just going to be so difficult for Cornstar to stay alive in the early stages.
There's Acid and Frosty burning their flash and picking up first blood in game number 1.
Might be able to find something here towards the bottom lane as Firestreaks walks a little bit too far forward.
He is caught between a pillar and a hard place, Sulpan.
JBL times the CC, but they cannot kill Dota. They got him. He tries a reset. He tries to spin, but they can't get it. Now Waffle's running away. But the land thrust has been beautiful, but Waffle's still alive.
I think Excellencies League is pretty good. I really do. They're definitely one of the best ones, just because it's the quality of teams isn't at a complete disparity in terms of like the teams around them. The teams and the team like average skill was a lot closer. It felt like a really good competitive league.
Double melee in the top lane, but he's going to be able to flash away from this one. Here is Acid, Frosty, no teleport. It's just going to be a 2v2 as the Crescent Guard comes out. Cornstar going to try to make this one work as his is coming out. Acid stunned up and taken down. It's No Fear Wolves finding the double kill in the top lane. In Firestreaks and Smart Pants looking to get caught a little bit. Godzilla waiting for the taunt, waiting for the timing. He's getting melted by Necrox. Heartstuck Brother coming into the back line as well. Smart Pants staying alive for just a little bit, but not enough. Here is the package coming in. Lotus Whiter looking to turn this one on its head as St. Alucard from downtown.
Yeah, I think I chalked that one up to more macro, just not rotating quick enough because Doctor was already there way in advance. Stingers might be dead here.
Oh, there's a lot of damage. One more Q, one more Dark Sphere. JBL's got a solo kill onto Stingers.
Before these fight starts, I do want to talk about some itemizations that come through. Void Staff, but Skiz is not going to let me.
It's the fight now, and Debay is absolutely exploded. No Fear Wolves have found the pick they were looking for.
And we felt good. And then when we went down 2-1, we were like, okay, so this Game 4 is like play your heart out, play literally as best as you possibly can. And when we kind of like hard stopped them. So going into Game 5, it was like I was so confident that I literally didn't even care like about anything because I just knew that we would win.
Here we go. This is the fight we've been waiting for, the fight we've been hoping for. Everyone's lining up. There's the unstoppable force and a huge on the Necrox. He's getting the first pick. The fight's a 3-man headbutt. Common time to win to the back line.
Not very early, no team fight just quite yet, but they're looking.
Skiz with the engage going in for the fight.
Sure, he doesn't play AD carry, but never doubt the damn man of the bot lane. He has no questions to be asked. It's all who flashed that fight.
Taken a little low from the culling. Baron getting low. It's at 3,000 health. The call of the Forge God. The call for the hero. A huge 3-man ultimate. There's the double kill from Alucard. Lotus White strike at the Baron.
At this point, right, it's just a moment.
JVL is dead again at a critical moment. The fight cannot be Lotus's to win. Double kill the Donut Maker. Do you believe in League of Legends? Do you believe in who flashed that fight in the mastermind and Sting It? Get your silver scrapes online because we're going to Game 5.
Excellency Mid-League Fall Split Week 1. I am Paul Sulpan Von, joined on the virtual desk today by Shivneet Shibi Sharma. Today's highlighted matchup is going to be CB Rush, the former champions, versus Bucky's Stratosphere. Shibi, how are you doing today? Yeah, but keep in mind there is also new players subbing in for their support as well. So their entire bot lane has just been changed up here, and that might cause some issues for the team. But we'll have to see and find out. As right now, some very aggressive coming through here for the side of CB Rush as they lock out the Samir and the J4. So there won't be any level 2 shenanigans, and there won't be any popping off S ranks as she just dashes through the team fight in the season 11 way. We're almost there.
Yeah, and Samira, Jarvan being banned, and then Talia, Thresh, right? I mean, the Samira ban makes sense. It's a target ban against Bucky Stratosphere. Same with the Jarvan. I believe, their jungler's been playing quite a bit of it recently. Thresh, Talia, just one of the bans that they're going to ban out on CB Rush side. CB Rush's mid laner plays a ton of Talia. I believe it's almost 200 games on that. And the Thresh ban just being there because their support also plays a bunch of Thresh. And like we said, that bottom lane from CB Rush only got stronger. So you definitely want to take those super, super powerful champions away. As the Gwen ban comes out, just again, another target ban. Bucky Stratosphere's jungler plays a lot of Gwen.
Another big point here is actually that Talia was a flex pick. Coach Pizza has been also practicing Talia support, interestingly enough. So they could have locked that as a first pick here, but that will be off the board for now. On top of that, J4 recently receiving a few buffs, has actually seen a little bit of pro play, I think, even. I don't think he's quite at the level of being an S tier pick just yet, but banning him out nevertheless, just because, like we said, target bans are really what matters here, especially in mid-league.
Yeah, and a lot of these, meta champions, as we see Tristana coming in, Leona, and then the Swain as well. Like, you're not going to see these super meta champions, right? The holy trinity of junglers, as I like to call it, the Xin Zhao, the Diana, the Viego. I mean, there's no Viego ban up, and then CB Rush is first picking the Tristana, right? If I'm in solo queue, if I'm in heavy league, if I'm in any of these higher leagues, I'm slam dunking that first pick Viego. Instead, they go for the Tristana, and then R1, R2, Leona, Swain. They're just going for comfort here right now.
I actually really like this these two lock-ins right here. So they know that their bot lane is one of the strongest in the league here for CB Rush. So they're locking in a very defensive bottom lane that's going to be really hard to take down, just 2v2. They're going to need some jungler support to be able to take down these two very tanky and sustainable members. But also, there's a substitute support in here for Bucky Stratosphere, and he is more of an aggressive, engaged support type player. So not surprised to see him lock in this Leona either.
Yeah, Bucky Stratosphere usually plays with a more enchanter player, right? They play a lot of Lulu, Morgana, Soraka, Seraphine, all this stuff. So this new support, bringing in possibly a new playstyle with more engaged style supports, really looks to complement Bucky's playstyle a little bit more and allows them to possibly get a lot of early lane pressure. But Tristana Morgana being pushed in, that Leona's virtually going to be useless. It's going to take a bit of maneuvering in the lane to actually get a kill onto any of these two, as the Kha'Zix slips by as well. Very strong solo queue jungler, a very strong pick for CB Rush as well. Their jungler plays quite a bit of it, and the Olaf being locked in as well. So no Viego, no Diana. I mean, these guys are just playing for comfort, and I don't know if I necessarily agree with that.
And work, I mean, I'm looking at Bucky Stratosphere's composition right now. I know that their mid likes to play enchanter style support, so what I'm expecting here to see is them to lock in an enchanter mid to support this Olaf and help him get into fights, and then save this counter pick for top lane and then look to play through top and jungle. Their bottom lane's substituting in. You know that they're already playing weak side against CB Rush's much stronger bot lane, or at least highly rated bot lane. So I really expect to see this new team composition play through top and play through this Olaf.
Yeah, I mean, Olaf's super strong, right? With the Gore Drinker, the Sterax, that beautiful, beautiful build. He can even go wit's end and just become a menace in the jungle position. Like you said, support style mid laners is the strategy for Bucky Stratosphere. The Galio, the Malzahar, these kinds of almost uninteractive mid lane champions. That sort of, I mean, it's uninteractive, right? If you're Malzahar, you either way, if you queue it. If you're Galio, you don't even go to lane. You just shove it in and you go look for a roam when you hit level 6. Can really help, if the jungler wants to invade, if you want to dive the top lane, if you want to dive the bot lane. These kinds of champions really, look to pressure and accelerate, either the jungler or in this case, possibly the bot lane. But we do see Seraphine being picked up in the mid lane. I wouldn't call her uninteractive, but she's definitely, like you said, a supportive style. She goes the Moonstone. She probably will go the Ardent Sensor or even the Chemtank Putrefier. But the bans coming out here, Syndra, Silas, Malzahar, Irelia, not allowing any of these kinds of uninteractive and just very strong mid lane mages to come out.
I'm really surprised here by the Lysandra pick. When you see Olaf, ordinarily what you want to do is pick something that can kite very effectively, or at least get away from him just with move speed, because you can't really stop Olaf. He's just going to pop Ragnarok and run at you. And with the Seraphine to speed him up, it's going to be easier for him to get into these fights. So very surprised by this, a few of these picks here for CB Rush. I'm not sure if there's compositions exactly suited to play against them. But with the Alawi in the top lane, they'd be happy to leave that split pusher just to do their own thing up there. And now the only question is, what will Bucky's Stratosphere lock in order to play through top right and make this composition work?
Yeah, I mean, I suspect an ADC. I mean, they could. Okay, so they're actually going with the Kled. Never mind. So what this composition looks is definitely okay. All right. Bear with me. It's definitely Leona support. It's definitely Olaf jungle. But it could be like a Swain Seraphine bottom lane with the Kled mid. Like, this is such a wonky composition. But I mean, Swain Seraphine bottom's really strong as well. You can go Kled mid. You can go Kled Seraphine if you want, but we are getting into the regular draft as well. While CB Rush has more of a constructive, cohesive composition, Bucky's Stratosphere is just coming out non-stop. You're just pulling everything, doesn't care. They're going to go with their wackiest, cheese composition, if you want to call it. And if you're facing the reigning champions, I mean, I want Gouda, I want mozzarella, I want everything.
I actually kind of like this. I mean, they got speed ups through Kled and Seraphine, assuming they can keep their solo laners ahead, and as long as bot lane doesn't feed, in theory, this is a composition that just gets to run at you with ultimates and then win the team fight. CB Rush's composition to me actually looks harder to execute on. They have to get this Kha'Zix rolling. They have to, and really, I mean, if you're playing the Kha'Zix, who's your target on this team? You're looking at Swain Seraphine, I guess, through all these other bruisers and, heavy melee targets that are just very okay with being within melee range of you. Kha'Zix is going to struggle against this composition. I still think CB Rush might just have an upper hand just by purely having better laners, but we're going to have to see how they're going to handle this. I don't want to call it brainless because it's a smart draft, but just very much a run at you, press R, and we're going to win the team fight kind of composition.
I mean, this draft really counters, like you said, how CB Rush kind of wants to play, right? Lissandra wants to go in, lock somebody up. I mean, you're not going to get to the Seraphine. You're definitely not going to get to the Swain. And if you're R-ing a Leona or an Olaf or something like that, Leona's so tanky she can just kind of walk it out, while Olaf will just pop Ragnarok and you can't really R anybody. Kha'Zix, if he jumps in, if Tristana jumps in, you eat like a stun, you eat a snare, you possibly eat a charm. I mean, there's just so much damage, or there's so much damage that can be coming at you if you jump in wrong, if you miss position. It feels like Bucky's Stratosphere comp is designed specifically so that they can't get resets, they can't get the E and W resets, they can't just walk into objectives, right? If Bucky's Stratosphere is at dragons, if they're at Baron fights or Baron objectives before CB Rush, they pretty much have it under control. They have it locked down. They have the ability to just bully them out of the objective completely.
Yeah, 3 incredibly annoying and strong frontliners, and then really 2 targets that are going to be almost impossible to dive. I like what Bucky's Stratosphere has put together here. On the other side of the table, though, I won't say CB Rush is without tools to kind of remove what they have here on this team composition either. Through the Alawi, a champion that excels at these 1 versus 3 ganks and can just kind of turn around something there in the top lane. If they can keep this team split up, this team is very ineffective. Kled might be able to win the split push war against Alawi. It's kind of a toss-up, but you don't want to ever send multiple people into Alawi because it's exactly what she wants you to do. So CB Rush could look to split up this composition and then look to hard engage through something like Lissandra or Morgana binding, but that's really what their win condition is. And again, like I said, I think I've iterated on it a few times now, it is so much harder to execute on a pick composition than it is against a run at you composition like this one is.
Yeah, CB Rush is going to have to maneuver pretty eloquently right through these fights. I mean, the mid 2v2 is very, very strong. I don't think Seraphine Olaf is going to beat Lissandra Kha'Zix anytime soon. If Kha'Zix wants to, go into the enemy jungle and try to invade with impunity, I feel like Lissandra can be there within a moment's notice just to see, if she can get an ult off, she can get some damage off and just bully this Olaf out. But Kha'Zix early, she's going to have to go like a pretty interesting clear path. His clear isn't that fast, or isn't faster than Olaf's, right? Usually they go buff, Gromp, all the single camps, but usually we see the standard jungle, clears, usually 5 camps is usually red Raptors into full blue side, or, blue side into Raptors red, and they go for their crab, right? So we're going to see how these 2 junglers match up at the scuttle fight, where they might just flip it.
You can absolutely expect this Olaf to, be at that scuttle level 4. Kha'Zix might struggle to hit that same metric, like at 315 once it spawns, right? Of course, he can hit level 4 just by farming through like camps, but he is by no means within even the stratosphere of Olaf's clear speed. On top of that, another one thing I want to point out, Jesus or Jesus. I'm not sure exactly how to pronounce his name or which one he wants to use. 3114 is on the Seraphine here against Lissandra in mid. This is the championship mid laner from last split who has won so many leagues through CB Rush. This guy is absolutely nuts, right? I'm not expecting him to win this lane. And I'm not expecting him to be able to shove in this lane against this guy either. This Lissandra here for CB Rush is going to be roaming all across the map, roaming to Scuttle, rotating to different jungle camps. They can invade with the Kazakhs. You gotta be careful, and I think Bucky Stratosphere is going to have to watch their wards this game and make sure they're keeping their jungle entrances safe.
Yeah, and we touched on the jungle matchup like you said, but I want to focus on this bot lane matchup because Evil Zara and Coach Pizza, I mean, they're pretty much designed to counter Swain Leona, right? You have a jump in case you get snared or in case you get, Zenith Blade. You also have the added safety of the Black Shield. I mean, they have the return engage as well. If you engage in as Leona and Morgana is still holding the binding, you get binded, you get E'd, you get Tristana E'd, and then you just take a whole bunch of return damage. And Swain is going to do a lot of burst, but it's going to have to hit the Q, going to have to hit the E, the W, and if Tristana's out of range with her massive range, she's just going to be able to return so much damage, and Macro Beast is just to be sitting there in the back line like, what can I do? What can I do in lane?
Well, I believe that's all the time we have for analysis. We move towards the game here. We all come down to execution, and what can these two teams do against each other? We'll be right back with Game 1 of the Mid-League Excellency Split. See. Got CB Rush here on the blue side up against Bucky's Stratosphere on the red. I'm calling me Sultan, and I've got with me Shibby here. How are you feeling, man? I believe it seems like you're giving some slight advantages over to CB Rush here.
I mean, so this is just based, like, we were talking offline and we have some notes we traded as they're going for this cheeky level 1 invade here, possibly, or just a stack. But yeah, I mean, I'm just giving it to CB Rush purely based on skill. And I know that's kind of, that's not like the best kind of analysis, right? These guys are platinum. All of them are above plat 2. But I mean, these guys are the former champions. We've seen them play. They're really clean in their gameplay. Their core is relatively the same, and they've actually upgraded their ADC. So yeah, I mean, I do give advantage to CB Rush. It's not like Bucky's Stratosphere cannot win, right? If they bring out these kinds of compositions, if they bring up matchup disparity or matchup knowledge that just, CB Rush wouldn't have, I think they can just eke out 2 wins easily, right? It's a best of 3, and putting 2 games of cheese is not that hard.
It's fairly standard, it looks like so far. Will be just the ward to spot out the jungler invade on that side. But I mean, I think Array is going to be happy to just go for the Olaf full stack clear across the jungle. I'm expecting the same thing here from the Kazakhs. Just in either a quick 3 camp clear, or you might even just try and match the Olaf and then be slightly behind him.
Yeah. We're going to see both bot laners actually leashing their jungler. So they're going to meet possibly at this top lane, and I'm going to give the advantage to Array in the beginning, right? Just that Olaf, just his 1v1 power. I get the isolated damage coming from Kazakhs is strong, but his ability to just life drain, and once Kazakhs uses all his bursts, his Q, his W, Olaf can just sit there still auto-attacking you, still, life stealing, and his Q undertow is actually on a reduced cooldown if he picks it up. So he can land multiple spells in succession and just really eke out that 1v1. So if they get into that topside scuttle, I have to give that advantage to Olaf.
And don't forget about that passive as well. Lower HP means higher attack speed. A little bit sad we didn't see Array go for tanking a few tower shots to get that optimized jungle clear, but it's pretty rare to see. Very hard to pull off without dying as well. So just a fairly standard Olaf clear here as he moves across the jungle. I'm not expecting to see too much from them. I think most of the action we're going to see is potential 2v2 kills here in the bottom lane.
Yeah, as Evil Zara and Morgana are getting that push up. They're looking for a very early ward. I think they're just trying to see where they possibly started. I mean, yeah, they get the ward down. That's just going to spot out and let them know that, Array is on that top side. As we see some pings coming out already. Kazakhs going for, like I said, right? The red, blue, and Gromp, all the isolated compositions. Now he's going to go into that top lane.
And this is exactly where he wants to be. Array just spotted out with the axe, actually, so he's going to just run into this one, but I don't think this Olaf can win this fight. You've already used your cooldowns. You don't have much left in the tank. Gonna pull off the smite. Acid's going to grab this one, and Frosty over the wall to secure the just random Q onto the air. So CB Acid with a great and clever invade here, hopping over that wall on the early timing, and look, they don't want more. Flashing forward here. Jesus is in trouble as he falls. CB Acid gonna pick up 2 kills here before the 4-minute mark.
And that flash W was instantaneous. I saw the killer instinct in Frosty's eyes. I mean, they're definitely calling for it. Like you said, beautiful invade from CBR Acid. just completely ignores the fact that they have to meet for Scuttle and says, you know what, I'm going to 3 camp and I'm just going to kill this guy in his jungle and he's not going to know anything. Nothing was spotted out. There were no wards in the river dropped from either the top laner or the mid laner as a raise. Looking for revenge in the bot lane.
Yeah, miss actually the spell shield there, so I ended up getting slowed up, falling through on the Zenith Blade as well. Coach Pizza just flashing out too late and barely black shielding too late. Will still stay alive, so not all is lost. But here comes the collapse from the top, or from the mid and jungle as well. This might be a big fight right here. Letting collapse Sandra, finding Mulan, gonna follow this one up. The Sandra jumping in, dropping that snare. Somebody snared up here. Ashton's gonna find the first. Already at 3 kills. This guy's popping off. Ceramus trying to find something back. Will not land the stun. Forced out of the fight. Array still coming forward. Looking for the Q. Gonna get the slow. Look at the snare. There's a shutdown for your bottom lane Swain. Evil Zara will also fall. And all of a sudden, this fight got turned on its head. This is the power of the Run At You composition. You have to be sure you're not just walking into melee range, but they do just that. Shutdown given over. And now, CB Rush suddenly not looking as indomitable as they did before.
Yeah, Bucky Stratosphere came in, took everything and their lunch money as CB Rush is just, they get mowed down, right? I mean, Kha'Zix has 3 kills, don't get me wrong. He's going to be possibly, you know, the one of the carries on this side, but the kills being evenly distributed on the side of Bucky Stratosphere, this allows for more innate, you know, lane advantages, right? At least Swain now has a 102, Leona has 3 assists. Like, they're going to be a lot more, you know, powerful once Macro Beast gets to actually, you know, back and reset. I mean, it's going to be a very scary lane to go into, especially with all the summoners down on CB Rush's side.
Absolutely, but here we go once again. Array just face checking his jungle, and there's just no prio available. Gonna easily pick up that one. 4-1 now on the Kha'Zix. Frosty following up once again on the roam, and that's the danger, right? I talked about it in the pregame. If you have this Lysandra that can just constantly shove you in, she will be following your jungler. And even though he didn't need it for the kill there, I mean, there's just no way out for poor Array.
Yeah, not having that priority in the mid lane, picking that supportive style. I mean, you really have to get yourself the dominant jungler, right? And you would suspect that maybe if he had the Viego, possibly if he had the Diana, obviously very good at 1v1ing, maybe not better than Kha'Zix with all the isolated damage, but I feel like you would have had these picks. You have a better way of getting back into the game, right? Viego can still reset, can still pick up kills. Diana still has that powerful engage. But if you're playing Olaf and you're behind, you just feel like a cannon minion.
Yeah, it's gonna be rough to try and get back into this game. I mean, more than anything else, it's just the fact that CBR Acid managed to get ahead here on the Kha'Zix. Still looking for more as well. Array's gonna be okay, I think, this time. But just continuously, right? I mean, we talked about how Kha'Zix is a solo queue jungler. If your team is happy to play around that pick, though, and can enable you and just let you carry the game through jungle, I mean, I think he's gonna be just fine here. He's just so far ahead at this point. Oh, but here comes a binding from Coach Pizza trying to find another engage. They're doing it to him again. 4 men jumping on in. Frosty gonna find that one, and this dragon's gotta be going over as well.
He goes to base. He comes back, dies. He goes to base, comes back, and dies again. I can't see this happening to my man Array, man. That's just jungle abuse. The whole team is playing around CBR Acid. And if you're a jungler, you love to see that. You love to see your bottom lane roam up. You love to see your Lysandra coming in and trying to get a snare off, and you just picking up kills left and right. 4-1-1 on this Kha'Zix. He's going to be so accelerated, and he's going to be a menace in these fights. I think the only way Bucky Stratosphere kind of can circumvent this, you know, super fed Kha'Zix, as long as they're staying grouped, as long as nobody's isolated, right? Then they'll be able to possibly CC lock him and hopefully just get the shutdown onto him.
I mean, they do have a very explosive composition, right? I mean, they can just kind of run down the Kha'Zix if they do spot him out somewhere. So, I mean, they can get the Leona crowd control on them, the Zenith Blade, the Solar Flare, or of course, following it up with the Seraphine Encore. There's a lot of options to try and lock him down. They just haven't had the opportunity yet. And Acid's just getting further and further ahead. And I just, once again, look at the wards in the jungle. They're always looking for where they can invade this Olaf and further enable this mid lane and jungle duo.
Yeah, bot lane is just getting that kind of natural push that Tristana gets. We see a little bit of shuffling and scut fighting into the top lane. This is just standard top lane shenanigans, right? I feel like it's, you know, I compare it to like a frat fight where they're like, come at me, bro, come at me. And they're just pushing and shoving and nobody really dies or gets hurt. It's just a little bit of HP traded. That's usually what happens in my top lane games.
Yeah, the bad news here for Array is that he's got his mid and top both shoved in. None of them can really respond to deal with Acid here. And once again, Frosty's roaming
not your
up.
jungle.
And here comes the TP as well. This is absolutely not his jungle. It is so hard at this point in the game to come back and make a play.
Bot side. Just go trade
Top
bot
lane.
side.
Here comes
already.
the Encore will land onto Lasan. They're trying to find the engage here, but to raise a level down on the Cossacks. Jump forward. Acid looking for the fight. He's happy to take it. Look at that isolation damage. Jesus forced to flash out because Coach Pizza also is roaming up. They just cannot find a fight in the jungle.
Yeah, and at that point, you just got to give it up. It's one red buff, brother. Go take the Raptors. Go take the Golems or the Krugs, whatever you want to call them. I mean, you have to look. You have to cut your losses as a jungler, because forcing your mid laner to come and forcing your top laner to come, the lanes that are, you know, relatively doing even in CS, hopefully, as we see Kled down about 30. I mean, you can't sacrifice those kinds of things. You can't sacrifice more resources because you're behind. Cut your losses, go and trade as much as you can, and try to be a threat later into these dragon fights. But fighting for that red buff, knowing that you're a level down from this Kha'Zix, I mean, that's just ignorant.
Yeah, there's a kind of philosophy that I think used to exist in League of Legends, which was playing tank junglers into carry junglers. And you don't see a lot of tank junglers anymore these days, you know, the Sejuani, the Zac. But when you're in these kind of matchups, you are going to be playing down in priority, meaning you cannot assume that you can just take whatever you want in your jungler. As I'm going to actually can that one as a raise, looking for the fight here, but he's been walking into a bad spot. Popping the Ragnar at the right time. They're gonna find the kill here on the Frosty, but Acid is still alive, and Jesus is not long for this world. Jump in and drop him, but once again, double kill for Kha'Zix there. So now it's an attempt to find the bot lane. Zenith played in. Sermus wants to find the fight, but Coach Pizza's got the ultimate. Gonna force him to flash on out. Macro Beast popping his as well. Swain going on in. Cannot find the damage though. Sermus might just burn down. He's gonna fall.
Ticking.
And now it's just Macro Beast left alive in the 1 versus 2. They did not find the fight they wanted.
Yeah, looked like a good engage from Sermus. Actually ends up paying with his life. I mean, Tristana really used her abilities well there. Evil Zara, you know, essentially R'd the Swain away, couldn't get that recast damage off of his own ultimate, wasn't able to burst down the Tristana in time, and was just, you know, you saw Sermus just getting almost soloed out by the Morgana, and unfortunate turn of events. I feel like this game is, you know, slowly going downhill for Stratosphere. What looked good at that early river fight when the gold was even, you just saw CBR Acid just kind of impose his will onto the enemy jungler.
I will still say, even down 4k gold, if they can stem the bleeding here a little bit and find just a 5 versus 5 or a 5 versus 4 here with this Kled ultimate kind of leaving the top lane and leaving Rutledge to his own devices up here, I do still feel like they could find a fight and turn this one around. I think it's just these margins and those opportunities are just going to get slimmer and slimmer as Acid continues to pull ahead here on the Kha'Zix.
Yeah, and an interesting item choice coming from Kha'Zix as well. I was definitely sure he was going to rush either the Dustblade of Drakthar or even the Prowler's Car, but instead goes for the Umbral Glaive early, just getting that super early vision clearing as Slim Kim is going to go into this top lane, and the boys are here.
Yeah, the whole squad has arrived. Here comes the ultimate, but it's a little bit too late. Rutledge is going to fall. They're going to be happy to get themselves at least something back here in the top lane.
Yeah, getting that, you know, consolation prize, as you said, CBR Acid. He's just here. He's lurking.
I don't think this club's long for this world.
Yeah, I think he's dead. He's gone, right? Yeah. 300 gold going into the pockets of this Kha'Zix. 8-1-1 at 11 minutes into the game. Oh, you looking for more?
Oh, good encore. Oh, forced to flash there. So that's a good summoner spell burned. I mean, there is a huge bounty now on this Kha'Zix's head. If they can find that next fight and get that shutdown onto one of these carries, they're going to be in a pretty happy spot.
And getting the vision down as well. Coach Beach is probably going to clear this as well. So red for red or controller for controller, trade into that top lane Tribush. But yeah, just like a consolation prize. TP's coming out as well now.
Yeah, this is Frosty coming on in. Here she comes. Look at that snare. The 2-man just instantly drop, and just like that, the CC is quick to follow. Evizar not going to find the kill. Coach Pizza picking that one up, but a good TP play. Not going to lose much for this one either, as mid lane has not been shoved in. And on top of that, Acid's lurking.
I think Acid's just going to kill Seraphine right now. I think it's... okay.
Hey, we'll call it good awareness.
Yeah, I mean, good awareness, maybe hesitation on Acid's side. Maybe he thought somebody was there, but Seraphine taking, you know, the safer route, going back to her tower. But like you mentioned, right? I mean, if the right kills get onto the people for Bucky Stratosphere, maybe it gets onto the Swain or the Olaf, or even, like you said, the Kled. I mean, that shutdown gold can be really, really, you know, huge for turning these 4v5s or, you know, 5v4 fights that Bucky wants to take. I don't think they win the 5v5. I think Kha'Zix can just isolate somebody eventually on the enemy team and just look to solo them out. I mean, you see the damage that he's doing with just an Umbral Glaive. I can't imagine how much damage he's going to start doing with that legendary or mythic item.
And here's my odd take on this. Umbral Glaive might be the best snowball option available. Getting a little bit extra attack damage, a little bit of extra lethality isn't going to get you that one shot early in the game. But being able to just clear out vision and be wherever you want to be on the map, knowing full well that no one's looking at you, is going to make Acid just such a menace for Bucky Stratosphere to deal with.
Yeah, I think Umbral Glaive is kind of tied with that value, value by lethality that Serpent's Fang kind of has right now. Like, if there was a bunch of shielding on the side of Bucky Stratosphere other than the Seraphine, I felt like CBR Acid would be more inclined to just go Serpent's Fang first. Going for the Umbral Glaive, like you said, is really smart. Being able to clear out vision, allowing or not allowing Bucky Stratosphere to kind of get back into this game with pockets of vision and setting up like death bushes or sneaking into vision where they don't have. I mean, like you said, it's probably one of the better snowball items, and he can definitely afford to go that because he's just picking up more and more kills as the game goes on.
And more wards here as he gets one more bit of vision. Of course, was spotted out there by that one, and they should know that this dive is coming, but it's a 4 versus 2. I'm not sure if they'll be able to stop this one. Meanwhile, on the top lane, the Rutledge getting engaged on the here comes Lasandra, gonna find the snare, and just like, they're just gone. They're just been completely blown up. Look at the dive here from CB Rush as they just delete these members here in the bottom lane. And meanwhile, on the top lane, it's terror across the map. Rutledge is in the 1 versus 2. He's pulled one of them off. Silent Kim forced to run towards this tower. Nowhere left to go. Look at the minions.
Let the minions finish him off. Let the minions finish him.
One more to go. Here it comes. No, he's still alive. Slim Kim dodging back in life. Just trying to play his life, but no, Rutledge gonna come up with the auto, finish him off, and there is a double kill in the top lane, a double kill in the bottom lane, and Jesus is gonna try to finish him off here as Rutledge gets dropped eventually by Seraphine, but that is a 1-for-4 plus drag in the favor of CB Rush, and I'm sure they're happy about how that one went down.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, the Alawi power. They had to bring 3 to stop her the last time. I don't know why they brought less. Maybe they were feeling a little cocky. Maybe they thought that they could do it, but this Kled isn't a full damage Kled. It's a Sunfire or a Forge Fire cape Kled, right? It's not full damage. It's not going to be able to put out the kind of Kled damage that you expect if they were to go maybe Gore Drinker or even possibly Divine Sunderer if they want to. So lacking on the damage aspect, I mean, you can't just out-tank Alawi because she has so much healing coming from her tentacles, from her W, from her R. I feel like you just need to try to burst her out as soon as possible. So it was almost kind of foreseen once they brought 2, and I was like, oh, I think Alawi's going to turn this. Like you said, 1-for-4. 6k gold lead roughly, or looks like about a 7k gold lead for CB Rush at 15 minutes, and it's looking darker and darker for Bucky Stratosphere to come back in.
I like this as well. Rotating Lasandra down to that bottom lane. If they can sweep out this vision here in the bot side jungle, I mean, you see all those wards actually out for Bucky Stratosphere, allowing her to roam up and look for one of those E's over the wall to find the engage will be massive for her. But Slim Kim's looking for an engagement here on the Rutledge. I'm just not sure if he wins these. Gonna be tough. Ashing back and forth, dodging out a little bit of skill shots. They're now dropped very low. Evil Czar and Coach Pizza have arrived as well. The whole team is here. One teleport coming across as Olaf will also be joining the fight. Macro Beast on 1 versus 1 versus Frosty S in the bottom lane. You're 3 levels down. You don't want that one. That was a single Q versus your full kit, and you guys got the same HP values in the end. You on the top lane, Jesus and Slim Kim trying to hold on down to this tower, but it's gonna be tough. Sirmus, 10th blade goes a little bit wide, and look at the tower damage. There's the bomb from Tristana, gonna drop that one very, very low, but not gonna be able to finish this one off as just. I mean, even the director came at this point, just dashing around the map, trying to track the plays that CB Rush is making everywhere. And I just don't know what Bucky Stratosphere can do to try and come back and find a fight that they need at this point.
Yeah, it feels like CB Rush is just almost a step ahead, right? If you do something in the top lane, we'll 4-man dive your bot lane. If you do something here, we'll take a dragon. We'll take this. We'll take your topside jungle. It feels like CBR Acid has never stopped looking for an advantage, right? I mean, usually when junglers, they get a little complacent. It's like, oh, I'm super ahead. Maybe I don't need to take this. He is consistently taking Array's jungle camps. I mean, it is only 126 to 103, but I feel like just the fact that CBR has been able to get all these buffs
and
Slim Kim is dead. He's dead.
I'll let you finish your thought.
No, but yeah, CBR Acid is just constantly taking jungle camps, constantly exerting pressure onto Array and not allowing him to get back into the game. I mean, it's a Divine Sunderer Olaf versus a Black Cleaver, Umbral Glaive.
Oh, no. Got spotted out by the control ward. Gonna try and Ragnarok and dash away from this one. Will find the damage, though, and now CBR Acid might have the reset. I don't believe
Frosty's here as well.
And here comes a great encore onto 2, but they just don't have the damage to follow it up. A good chunk taken out there from Frosty, but Jesus will drop for his crimes. Macro Beast gonna try and kite back here. Sirius almost dies to the thrall, still ticking down. Might just happen, but the shielding will keep him alive.
Now let's see if they watched Freak's video. Are they going to take the inhib early, or are they going to, okay, they're going to just take it early. Baron's coming up in about a minute and a half. I think they're strong enough to just force it anyways, as Slim Kim is coming in. Oh, no.
Ooh, actually going to be able to hold on to this one.
Wait.
Macrobeast
No,
trying to make the chase happen as well. They don't have much movement speed left. Will find the bear trap on a rope to actually pull back Frosty. Frosty forced to try and dash out, but he can't get away. Macrobeast will just die.
He lives.
Exhaust is not ignite. He will stay alive. No, he won't. He will fall. There's a shutdown going over to the Swain, but 1-for-1. Inhib taken out as well. They did finally manage to find the last hit onto that one. So there will be super minions in mid, of course. In theory, not great, but Rutledge in the 1 versus 4 wants to try and take this one. Able to stay alive for now. Look at the health. Look at the damage. He's managing to do what he needs. Slim Kim will manage to find the reset on the mount and will be able to take him out. So it won't be the Alawi highlight reel play just yet.
Acid's here, though. Oh, is he going to clean up? No, he doesn't have E-reset, though, so... Ooh.
It doesn't have the potential to just hop around the fight as Ray's looking for more. This is so risky. Look at the health bars. Astley can just turn one around so quickly.
Yourself. That's not what you want to do.
Binded. The Flipper will land. They get the shutdown on the Kazakhs. Coach Pizza might be able to clean this one up himself, though. Will drop the pool. Not going to find the damage he needs as he's just going to force him out.
Yeah, I guess that's a good trade for Bucky Stratosphere all in all, right? They get shutdowns onto their team. You know, they kind of try to shore up the gold lead. That is a 10k gold lead for CB Rush here. And Acid and Rutledge kind of biting off more than they can chew, just testing their strength. They can take this Baron up as soon as it spawns, right? It's coming up in about 11 seconds. I think they can just take it up onto cooldown. They'll probably take the Dragon first just to secure it. The go Baron, and, you know, they're strong enough to where I don't think they have to flip it. They just have to kill a Ray and then go back to it.
I mean, this could be closed out pretty shortly here. They got the 10k gold lead really at this point, even though they are this, what I called earlier, a pick-based composition. When you're this far ahead, consider your lead and just say, you know what, we can take any team fight we want. We can dive these guys. Let's just play as 5 and make whatever we need to do work. Pick up the Dragon. Looks like they could go for the Baron here, but currently eyeing this bottom lane tower.
Yeah, it looks like they want to push. I do see the pings going out to the Baron. I mean, they're just like kind of pinging everywhere. Like, oh, we can go mid, we can go Baron. Yeah, now you see the assistants coming out. It's probably the jungler calling and saying, guys, we don't need to ARAM it down. We have the lead. They definitely have the item advantage. Finally, Kazakh's picking up the Eclipse as well. So third item, Mythic, and he's just going to be so strong.
Oh, no,
dead.
It's happening again. Acid popping out here with the isolated proc. He's going to find all the damage he needs there onto Array. Just completely drops him. Jungler down as well, so no Smite Steal available. And once again, we see some on my way pings towards this Baron.
Yeah, they're comfortable now taking it. Array's dead. He's down for 30 seconds. Nobody on the side of Bucky Stratosphere can do that, as Zubby Rutledge is just going to dive this bird.
Yeah, I mean, he might have what he needs. That Hourglass kept him alive just long enough. Kled has arrived as well, but Slim Kim can't find the bear trap on a rope, and now Rutledge is happy to try and take the 1 versus 1. Will miss, actually, the snare. Not getting much damage out just yet. Getting stunned up as well. Here comes the Kled off the back of the mount, but he's in trouble. He will fall, and now Jesus is getting tagged up so hard. Almost the double kill. Seramu's forced to take away that one, as they won't be able to give over that kill to any carries.
Yeah, I mean, it was either going to go to Service or Jesus or Jesus, the Seraphine, so not the ideal scenario for either of them. I mean, you would have loved to see the Swain or even the Olaf try to get that, but unfortunate. They kill CB Rutledge for, you know, essentially trading Baron, so a consolation prize on their end. But yeah, now 4 members on the side of CB Rush have Baron. They can go for a 1-3-1, they can go for a 1-4, or they can just use this Shoshana to push down as a 5-man onto any lane they want.
All right, goes a little bit wide with the undertow. Actually gets tagged up once again. Acid is all over him. Encore not going to land either, as who is this over the wall? It's Lysandra. Frosty getting a little bit overzealous there. Was maybe expecting the backup from the hops that Evil Zara and Acid had, but I think all those cooldowns were blown, so weren't able to follow their teammate over the wall. But honestly, I'm not sure it matters here, as they're looking at this top side inhib. Alawi's on the bot side, last remaining outer tower.
Yeah,
they're gonna clean up remaining ahead here on the warpath for CB Rush.
Yeah, they just have to rotate down to the bottom lane, get the double supers going, and reset, get all that, you know, cash out all that gold that they picked up from these turrets and everything. But it actually looks like they're just going for the end. Frosty is coming up in about 5 or 6 seconds, and he has the DP up. Yeah, they're going to back off now. Get the double supers, cash out, and then just end the game. I think that's the clinical move here.
Absolutely, and looks like they're just happy to do that. The TP is coming back, gonna drop some damage and find the Alawi Tentacle passive that its name is currently escaping me on towards that Nexus, so gotta keep an eye out for that as well. CBR Acid just constantly poking out with this evolved W from Kha'Zix. Here comes the Kled engage. They're just gonna try and make the 5 versus 5 work. Immediately getting snared up. Look at the damage as they just drop them. Everyone's falling so quickly here. Acid trying to find some damage. Will we get one pick? We'll find the trade there. Lysandra in the middle of the fight as well. Coach Pizza finding the damage onto the side. Kled will drop. There goes Leona. It's just Azus left alive as the Thrall is going to pick up a little bit more damage. Actually dashing on forward. Frosty not too overzealous this time. Will find the ace. Open Nexus. And here it is. CB Rush will take your first game in the mid-league split.
Yeah, and in a triumphant fashion as well. 29-12, almost 20k gold. They were 10k gold ahead around the 20 to 25 minute mark. I mean, it was just, they were playing their comp beautifully, right? I mean, just the way that CBR Acid was able to, invade Array, and just the way Frosty was playing around that, jungle mid 2v2 and just able to invade and getting that prio. I mean, that's a strong combo. I don't know how you beat that.
I mean, Bucky Stratosphere just needs to adapt here. They need to pick a mid that can match the wave clear or out wave clear Frosty, but then also have the confidence to do that by continuously protecting that mid lane character, make sure they can get wards on those jungle entrances. There's a few things they can do to try and match that aggression and change up the way in which they're approaching this, but it's just gonna be difficult to do. And they only have, it's a 3-game block, so they have the 2 games that they could potentially adapt and try and find what they need, but it's gotta happen quick here or they're really looking at taking a week 1 loss here against CB Rush.
Yeah, and I think they just need to ban out Acid's jungle picks. I mean, that Kha'Zix is his most played. I mean, this is mid-league, and I get that you ban the Xin out, but just this guy plays Kha'Zix in solo queue. He loves that champion. He knows all the tricks. He knows how to get ahead. I mean, if you're not tracking him, if you're not getting vision down into the enemy jungle, if you're not warding for your jungler, you're putting him on a death sentence. You're making him play behind before the game's even started, and you saw what happened to Array. It probably wasn't fun playing as him, getting invaded by the Kha'Zix every, other camp or every other red buff. But like you said, adjustments do need to be made on Bucky's Stratosphere side. I like the fact that they are trying to pull out, matchup knowledge discrepancies and everything like that. I think they can do it again. They just need to be, build a more cohesive composition, right? The Seraphine mid, like you said, doesn't give you enough priority, doesn't allow you to shove in or push this Lysandra in. And just the full tank Kled was kind of a head scratcher for me as well. I felt like, if you are looking to get an advantage for the side of Bucky's Stratosphere, it's through your jungler and it's through possibly your bot lane here.
On top of that, I mean, this Kled was their counter pick. This was their, we're going to play around this, and they lock it in, and they end up going tank with it. Looked like it was a lane loss almost the entire way through. Some of that could be blamed on the jungler matchup on top of the mid invades that were kept coming through for the side of CB Rush. But again, this was supposed to be like their ace in the hole. This Kled did not live up to expectation, and they're going to have to figure something else out here in the top lane to play around.
Yeah, and you say ace in the hole. I feel like this whole composition was kind of like their, oh, look what we have. Like, look, you guys definitely aren't prepared for this. But CBR just kind of took it in stride and was like, okay, well, we generally know where we have the advantages. We have it in the mid, we have it in the jungle, and we'll just use that to snowball the game, right? Evil Czar and Coach Pizza are, just chilling in the bot lane essentially with the Morgana E, with the Tristana W. I mean, there weren't any really kill threat from the Swain and Leona, so it just allowed them to kind of get a free farm lane. I mean, you kind of see the CS discrepancy a little bit, 189 to 152, but this Tristana was just taking towers left and right.
I also want to point out the difference in vision score here. This Morgana was at a 58 to Leona's 19. So
yeah, I mean,
may have been the difference there in allowing this team to constantly look for those jungle invades, just clearing out those wards, making sure that they were able to walk across the river. But then also, I mean, they just had vision everywhere this game. It felt like mid and jungle also did a phenomenal job, 21 and 28 respectively for that Lysandra and Kha'Zix versus the 14 and 11 of Seraphine and Olaf.
Yeah, and it's scary that you mentioned, the vision score and everything like that, because the fact that Evil Czar and Coach Pizza kind of had that, free lane almost, not in the sense of that the matchup, the players were bad, but it's a free lane in the sense that, Swain definitely wants to scale. He wants to get to his item power spikes. I mean, if Morgana started roaming more, he probably could have, Coach Pizza probably could have roamed top, roamed mid, and just snowballed the game even faster, right? The fact that Morgana didn't roam when it was just in lane all the time was helpful to obviously Bucky Stratosphere, but if this kind of vision score happens, this kind of lane matchup happens again, I expect them to just start roaming their support with CBR Acid and Frosty and just create this 3-man gang squad that Array is going to have to deal with one way or another.
Well, Shibby, I got good news for you. We're going to find out right here very quick as we are ready, I believe, in Pro Draft once again. Last time it was the beginning of these bans towards the, like you mentioned, the Xin Zhao was the initial ban, but Thresh and Talia were the other two. So we'll have to see if they manage to change this one up a little bit, try and move towards these picks that we found to be troublesome, at least in this game. But I'm very curious to see what they're willing to change up in draft here. I wouldn't expect Bucky Stratosphere to change their win condition, but I do think, like you said, certain picks here could be swapped out for maybe things that are a little bit better.
Like I said, Bucky Stratosphere is on the blue side now, and like the Viego, right? That wasn't taken away. That wasn't first pick. That wasn't pick ban. I want to see, just strong meta junglers. I want to see a strong, meta composition. Just play them straightforward, because if you can eke out these kinds of small advantages with your champions, like with the Viego, possibly with the LeBlanc, the Xin Zhao, the Diana, the Varus, the Ziggs. I mean, all these picks that were just left up on the board that were not banned out. I mean, Xin was banned out, but the rest weren't banned out, weren't picked. And it's just kind of like, okay, well, you came in with a plan, Bucky, right? You came in with a plan. You tried to execute it. It didn't work. So, maybe just go back to standard and see if you can just beat them that way.
I think the only argument here is if Bucky Stratosphere spent however long they spent prepping for the series, playing this style of composition, it is very hard to call that audible mid-series and say, all right, we tried that once, never again, let's just play standard. They might want to give it a few more tries here against CB Rush. I mean, they got a little bit caught off guard, I think, by the aggression from Frosty and, of course, Acid there in that mid-jungle duo. We'll have to see if they can change it up a little, come back into this one with a fresh mindset, and really find the fights that they need. And also, I would say more importantly, the vision they need around these jungle entrances to keep their jungler safe.
Yeah, and I fully expect the Kazakhs to be banned out. I don't think Bucky wants to deal with that. I mean, they'll probably try to handshake or put CBR Acid on a different jungler as well. But the champion pools from this mid jungle is just so expansive, right? It's really, they can play pretty much any style or any kind of, champion they really want to complement each other. I mean, you look at the most played, right? It was the Talia. Then they have the Lux, the Zoe coming out from Frosty as well. I mean, Lissandra is like her sixth or his sixth or seventh most played champion. I mean, there's so many more other champions that fulfill that like high prio, I'm gonna get mid prio, I'm gonna invade with my jungle role. That, like you said, I think Array and Jesus just need to match with the stronger or possibly the strongest mid 2v2 I think right now, which is just Xin LeBlanc.